Hello friends and viewers, and welcome to my Agata character guide. If you're just here for a quick reference, then I've created a pocket guide slide for the beginning of the video. Without further ado, my introduction. My name is James, I'm a global player and I started playing Sword of Convallaria in September 2024. I'm a longtime strategy and turn-based RPG fan with the Fire Emblem series, Tactics Ogre, and Unicorn Overlord as some recent titles I enjoy. I'm a PvE focused player in Sword of Convallaria. I have no interest or knowledge of PvP. As a global player, I lack the technical knowledge and exposure to the Taiwan and China scenes. As a result, I'm subject to feedback and I'm open to being wrong. If you come across conflicting information to other guides and creators, then there are absolutely multiple ways to play a character. Play your way. As a fun fact about myself, I am a Thai tea boba enjoyer. Agata's initial trait is Silver Wolf Queen. At star level 5, she gains 2 movement, jump, and climb from her Wolven Awakening level 3 buff, enabling her to play similarly to a Seeker. Her physical damage done inflicts stacks of wound. Attacking enemies with wound inflicts additional piercing damage, scaling with Agata's HP. Her initial skill is Permafrost Ground, an AoE ice attack dealing piercing damage and granting Agata Warrior Frost to reduce damage taken. At rank 1, I recommend Knockback Pursuit. These abilities are unlikely to be part of Agata's regular skill kit, so I recommend Knockback Pursuit for the knockback utility and HP stat gain. If you use Knockback Pursuit with Permafrost Ground, remember that knocking back enemies on frosty tiles will knock them back even further. If you would like Agata to perform additional off-healing, then consider Inspired Healing. At rank 3, I recommend the Queen's Announcement with a Castalia for Silver Severing. The Queen's Announcement is a physical damage AoE attack inflicting Vulnerable 2 and Speed 2 debuffs. Unlike Permafrost Ground, which deals piercing damage, because Queen's Announcement deals physical damage, it will inflict each target hit with wound stacks. Silver Severing is an instant skill, which charges and deals piercing damage, dispels target's hit, inflicts 2 stacks of wound, and grants Agata dodge for 1 turn. This will also trigger the energy regen from Taste of Prey at rank 7. For her reaction skill, your options are Elegance of the Queen or Vitalization. Agata will have a high HP pool, but other than the Permafrost Ground skill, she has no form of damage mitigation. Regardless if she is a Watcher with no counters, Elegance of the Queen and Silver Severing at rank 3 allow her 2 opportunities to dodge per round and prevent damage taken. The strike back from Elegance of the Queen will trigger her trait, inflicting a stack of wound and following up with piercing damage. Vitalization is still a throughput increase, not only in her trait piercing damage, but also in her self-healing with Wild Surge at rank 7 and Feast at rank 11. At this rank, my pick is Elegance of the Queen. At rank 7, I recommend Taste of Prey. Taste of Prey grants Agata 2 movement and 1 energy regen upon launching active attacks. Agata is a melee damage dealer, and with Taste of Prey's wide radius, she should have no problems in maintaining near 100% uptime on this skill. The energy regen has no round limit, and will trigger from instant attacks such as Silver Severing and Flying Blade Arm Guard. Consider Wild Surge if you are interested in providing Agata more self-sustain. This is helpful to keep her healthy status for Elegance of the Queen and Feast. At rank 9, I recommend Silencing Attack. With the energy regen from Taste of Prey and the energy costs of the Queen's Announcement and Feast, you're unlikely to frequently spend turns using Agata's basic attack. While Powerful Attack does 10% more damage, the recommendation for Silencing Attack here is simply for the 3% HP stat gain. In skill builds where you are not using Taste of Prey, then consider Powerful Attack. At rank 11, I recommend Feast. Comparing Feast to Fair Duel may do more damage, but Feast dealing damage 4 times means 4 opportunities to critical strike as well as inflicting 4 stacks of wound. Feast also has 1 more range than Fair Duel. Feast provides Agata self-sustain and AoE healing when healthy, whereas Fair Duel is a full dispel on herself and a full dispel on the targeted enemy. Fair Duel is a respectable ability on its own, but Feast nets comparable if not more overall damage while having 1 more range and applying 4 wound stacks in a single cast. This is my general build recommendation with Silencing Attack, Elegance of the Queen, Feast or the Queen's Announcement depending on single target or AoE, Silver Severing, and Taste of Prey. In this build, you want to maintain high uptime on Taste of Prey and use Silver Severing on cooldown. Recall Silver Severing will also restore 1 energy with Taste of Prey. If you want to play an ice-focused build, I recommend leaning into a defensive, self-sustained setup with the Warrior Frost buff gained from Permafrost Ground. Playing this build means you intend for Agata to repeatedly take damage, so that impacts her healthy uptime. Elegance of the Queen loses value if Agata is constantly attacked, so opt for Vitalization. Wild Surge is used for self-sustain and to help keep her healthy. For weapons, Newborn Blade is a great weapon to increase Agata's overall damage, both physical and piercing. You can consider Void Stab if you want to lean more into crit, especially if you're supporting Agata with an Alacrity Leader's Aura. Not pictured is Senator Swift Sword. Among all swords, Senator Swift Sword provides the most HP. In scenarios where piercing damage is more valuable than physical damage, you may consider it, but it is not commonly applicable currently. For trinkets, consider Flying Blade Armguard or Roaring Flint if you're playing Taste of Prey, as casting either of these trinkets will restore her energy. You can consider Crystal Burst Armor to increase Agata's HP and piercing damage, and Elegance of the Queen damage. You can also consider Spring Pill to support her healthy uptime, which is necessary for additional effects from Elegance of the Queen and Feast. For Taros, you can consider Fool's Naivety to increase both piercing and physical damage, but be mindful of the conditions to increase damage. You can look at Verdict of Justice if you want to lean more into crit and support Agata with an Alacrity Leader's Aura. You can consider Dream of the Magician for general damage, and even more so when using the Queen's Announcement. Another option is Course of Fortune. Course of Fortune's AoE attack can trigger the piercing damage effect from Agata's trait. However, recall the piercing damage effect can only trigger twice per round. For Engravings, with Agata's high movement from star levels and Taste of Prey, she should have no problems regularly activating the full effects of the Sword and Wand Resonance to increase her attack and defense. You can also think about Double Pentacle. Pentacle Engravings have the highest ceiling for HP rolls, but the lowest ceiling for attack rolls. As iterated, in scenarios where piercing damage is more valuable than physical damage, you may consider leaning on having more HP to increase Agata's piercing damage. For me personally, I plan to run Agata with the Sword and Wand Resonance. To provide some composition and usage tips, Agata is a sword-wielding watcher who plays like a seeker while not being a seeker. As a watcher, while she may have lesser base stats, she is a melee damage dealer with no counters. This makes her a flexible melee option in team compositions. Recall that Agata's wound increases non-percentage piercing damage. Some examples of other units that can take advantage of this include Karis, Lash, and Suppression, or anyone using the Star Raid Crossbow and Skeleton Spear weapons. You can consider a team with Simona and Alexei for them to complement each other with their ice attacks. Lastly, Agata is part of the Alacrity and Drifter categories. Consider pairing Agata and building a team with a Leader's Aura from either Alacrity or a Drifter. For external category buffs, in Alacrity, I recommend Cole's Leader Aura over Nurgo's Aura if possible, as Cole provides an additional 15% crit damage. Among Drifters, Miguel's Aura gives 5% more attack and 10% more defense than the average Leader's Aura. I do not recommend having a Leader Aura through Abyss. This concludes my character guide. As mentioned in my disclaimer, I welcome feedback and I'm open to being wrong. I'm still learning and improving just like you are. Once again, if you find conflicting information to other guides or content creators, then that means there are multiple ways to build a character and still achieve success. If you have any feedback for me, please feel welcome to comment below. I also have my various social media platforms on this slide here. Last but not least, I want to credit and shout out these resources that helped me put this guide together. Voyage Memento for their character build samples and reference links, the Sword of Convallaria No Potion fan site for skill images and skill descriptions, the Sword of Convallaria Cloud Drop Wiki for skill filtering and gear images, and the Billy Game and Game Key Chinese sites for character art assets. I highly recommend visiting these links to build your Sword of Convallaria knowledge. Thank you so much for watching this character guide, and I will see you in the next one.